I was going to make the point earlier when you were talking about not giving yourself enough credit. I feel like, especially the last 4 LA Guns records, I hear a lot more diversity than people might give LA Guns credit for. You're known, obviously, as this hard rock band that, from the 80s or whatever. But I hear a lot of diversity in the recent records, but the records are still very cohesive. And it's interesting because you've got your traditional LA Guns sound, but I also hear Black Sabbath. I hear Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And, I hear some Rolling Stones. I hear some punk rock creeping in. And so I don't think you're quite the one trick pony that you're making yourself out to be.
No, I don't think I'm a one trick pony, but I think that here's the secret, really, for the LA Guns records is it's Phil is the sound, right? Like,
Amen. Amen.
There's the right. So it's like the Sex Actions guitar sound with Phil. The old fans identify with that, but then there's the casual fan that knows Ballad of Jane, and they love that. Oh, that sounds like LA Guns. It's like, well, no, it doesn't, but because Phil's singing it, of course it does, right?
Right.
So, fast forward, 30 years, basically 30 years when we started this up again. I'm more comfortable leaning on my influences, and amplifying those influences in our music, to where I realize that no matter what the fuck I do, if it's Phil, that's the stamp, that's the signature.
The proof is,
so if I want to write.
The proof is the Black Diamonds record. When you the proof is the Black Diamonds record.
I think so.
It's the latest record, and you hear this, and you hear the beginnings of songs, and it says, wait a minute, it says LA Guns on the record, and you turn, yep, that's LA Guns, and what you're hearing is not, easy come, easy go. It's not.
No.
You know what I'm trying to say. I'm not.
Yeah.
It's all great, but the point is, Black Diamond's record is now, and Phil starts singing and going, okay, there's LA Guns. Wow, this is because it's spinning a web in your brain, making you think, wow, okay, this is fresh. Okay, like some people who are stuck on Cocked and Loaded, like someone like me, would hear because I love it. I would hear that and go, this is not LA Guns, but this is really good. By the third spin, they're going to be, this is way fucking LA Guns.
Yeah.
Whether they're leaning on, I can't wait for Phil to start singing again. There it is, because they don't, I'm not creating that, but you're taking them on a little bit of a ride. I think that you just said it, whether it be the Blackbird Angels or Sunbomb or Guns or whatever. I feel like like I said, you've already professed. It's important for you to be comfortable leaning on your influences that you've had since you were young.
That's right. And I think, when I say Led Zeppelin, because Led Zeppelin is everything to me, and I really reiterate that. It's not necessarily the songs or the sound or that, but what they had to do is they had to expand the music. They wanted to, the Beatles were a big deal when Led Zeppelin came out. And the thing that the Beatles had for them, they had harmonies, they had songwriting structure, they had different influences and styles that they could lean on, and they were very prolific writers. The Beatles were. Led Zeppelin had one voice. You know what I mean? Yeah. So no matter if it's, fucking The Ocean, Communication Breakdown, All of My Love, Stairway to Heaven, Battle of Evermore, it's Led Zeppelin because it's Robert Plant singing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not because Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones and John Bonham are these amazing alchemist magicians, which they are. That's just the fucking icing on the cake. Yeah, but you identify the sound of the band as a casual listener. It's Robert Plant's voice.
Yeah. You could say the same thing about Rush. You could say the same thing about Soundgarden.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing about Free and Bad Company.
Yeah.
And you almost for the most part could say it about Queen.
Oh, absolutely, you could say it about Queen.
But even though there are harmonies and style, just it's a fucking confetti bomb of style. And Queen,
it really is.
They were writing heavy metal before fucking heavy metal.
Yeah, they
were drop detuning the same time Sabbath was drop detuning.
And Sabbath didn't even know they were drop detuning. This just sounds really good, man.
They were because Tony created his own because of his fingers. He had to
magic. Yeah, it's all about magic, man.
Inadvertently creating heavy metal. Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, Brian May on Prophet Song and fucking he's just like, it's just,
and it's just so heavy, But when I bring up Zeppelin all the time, that's really what I mean is that my band's always going to sound like my band because that singer has that sound that everybody identifies with.
I applaud the notice and the championing of that. I really do. It's cool to hear the fucking guitar player say it's not the thing until we have that guy.
Yeah. Well, it's true. I mean, because Maiden, right? Maiden's a great example. I love Paul Di'Anno.
Me too.
Right? And then fucking Bruce Dickinson comes along, they do Number of the Beast, and it's fantastic.
It's a game changer, right?
Then they lost me. You know what I mean? Then it was like, because they weren't expanding the music so much anymore, even though it's still great Maiden music, of course. Yeah. But they weren't writing different, like Steve Harris wasn't writing different things for Bruce Dickinson to sing. It became a lot of, dun 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 dun. And so it kind of lost me. Same with Leopard. You know what I mean? Same singer. Right. But when it got really not as gnarly, then I was like, it's not as gnarly. And now I don't like Joe Elliott as much because it's not as gnarly. So I'm going to put Wasted on again.
Yeah.
So with LA Guns, I got to be conscious of that I don't go too far away. Yeah. There has to be boundaries within the music, like my favorite LA Guns song is Let You Down, which is on Checkered Past.
Yes. I was going to bring that up. Yes.
Awesome to me, song. That's Phil Lewis, man. I hear that voice. Yeah. That's Phil Lewis at his fucking best.
Yes. That's it's so great deep. Song. Great song. Yeah. And I was going to mention, I didn't want to get off on an LA Guns tangent, but I was going to mention, I was talking about the diversity in the recent albums. You said Let You Down is an amazing song, but I also love Flood is the Fault of the Rain, Another Season in Hell. These are very, sprawling kind of, if you will, by LA Guns standards, they're
let's go all the way back to the first record. And that's where the Blackbird Angels record is too, is it has those elements, right? Yes. Uh-huh. But we have One Way Ticket to Love on the first LA Guns record.
True. Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. Which is just as dark, if not darker, as Flood is the Fault of the Rain.
True.
Then, on Cocked and Loaded, not so much, but Magdalene kind of fills in this, what the fuck is wrong with these guys? Where's my straight ahead rock? And Malaria, and then of course Ballad of Jane, a fucking song that I love it, but it's just like, Jesus, enough already. And then Hollywood Vampires, it almost goes full on in so many ways, like over the edge, where it's not fast, punk rock influenced, riff rock. Yeah. And then we started sliding back and forth, getting through the next records to here. So if you're really somebody that likes the music that we've made all these years, you can definitely find the similarities in every record.
Fair. Yeah. Fair enough. Let's remind people that Blackbird Angels started off as you and Todd and Adam Hamilton, but you're rounding out the lineup for live shows with our buddy Johnny Martin on bass, and Sam Bam Colton from Faster Pussycat is playing guitar alongside you.
Right.
What, I'm not even going to ask about a tour because I think it's difficult enough to put your full-time band on the road these days. But what might you do in terms of gigs to support this album?
Well, I mean, it is very difficult. And, the reason why, we have Sam and Johnny in the video, the only video we made so far, is because I have hopes that we are going to be able to tour and do shows. Scheduling's the biggest problem, right now. Mm-hmm. But the thing that always fuels any kind of live performance is a demand for it, and as great as this record is, and I know it's a great record, it depends on the audience, like if promoters start coming around and saying, hey, can we do this? And a couple have already, but it's got to be more than that. It has to be, we have to look like we're serious about it to make people believe it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's tricky these days, but the band does want to tour, and we want to tour with those 5 guys that are in the video. And so far, I mean, the album's been well received, but sometimes if you don't have enough balance, like people going, oh, fuck, man, fuck these guys, because it's an emotional thing. Like either people love something or they hate it. But if it's too balanced one way or the other, then it's just kind of, it's like, oh, all right, it's great, but now what? It's just very, it's not 1977, unfortunately. I wish it was.